The following is a production of cprundown.com. The views and opinions expressed by the host of this podcast are those of the individual and not of any affiliated companies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast covering the Cedar Fair Entertainment Company, the amusement industry, and the business of fun. Here are your hosts, Karsten Anderson, Evan Schultz, and Kyle Hu.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast where we cover Cedar Fair, Cedar Point, and everything to do with fun. And we got some fun announcements this week, and I'm just going to throw it right over to Karsten because he was there.
Yeah, we finally got Cedar Point's brand new 2024 announcement for the remaining of, I guess you could say, Top Thrill Dragster's Tower. And we've got a brand new name, guys, and it is called Top Thrill 2.
Ooh. Yay.
Hey, you know what? We've talked about this for weeks. I'm just happy as a plum that the tower or that the tower is staying, like, and
Yes.
like, quote unquote, our Top Thrill Dragster as we knew it is pretty much almost the same.
Yeah.
But we're also getting a freaking rollback, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. I think I'll have a tangent on this later, but I think at the end of the day, I don't care what it's called. When we're launching 120 miles an hour up that tower and going over it again, it's just going to feel good. It's going to feel like we're home again.
Yeah.
So
Look
and
at
this 300 or 420 foot spike. God, who knows how tall the train will actually reach? But
that's honestly
we're going
left
to get
field.
so high on that spike.
That's honestly
insane.
like left field because
Well,
I was like
not the spike itself, but we thought it was gonna be like
the height.
200 feet.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought it was going to be like 300 and maybe 75 feet to 400 feet. And now that I know that it like they're doing 420 feet, I'm like, gosh darn it, why couldn't they go like 35 feet more and be like, we got the record?
but disclaimer, it ain't gonna go that high. The
Right,
structure is 420 feet.
They also, the park possibly was like, we probably would love to go like 470 feet or something, but either one, they needed a bigger foundation and that was going to really like kind of like mess up what
Iron
does.
Dragon.
Yeah. Or they knew that it wasn't going to be able to get that high anyway. And then all the G-forces with like going up backwards and things like that
Yeah.
to where you had to get up that high and stuff might have been too crazy on the body or something.
Yeah,
So
I
then
already think this ride's gonna be super intense as it is. So
Right. So then it's like, or we build it 470 feet and it doesn't even touch,
right.
the
So let's
70
just build the structure 420. So we get the dragsters 420. This is 420. This is awesome, and go from there.
Yeah. And it looks like,
Hey, I like it.
looks like, I mean, obviously we've been seeing the white track, them painting it and everything. I'm kind of happy that they're kind of paying homage to the original Top Thrill Dragster where you see the white and the red, So on the top hat, it's going to be on the very, 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 very top. It's going to be a white piece of track instead of it being all red and stuff. So it's going to be white, red, white, red, white, red. And I believe that when Top Thrill Dragster was built, that was actually to mimic like you going fast and you could kind of like see and it kind of blurs together and stuff. And then also same thing again with the tower that they're building behind.
Like all the vertical pieces are red, white, red, white, red, white, red, white.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I really like it. The concept art looks awesome. I keep staring at the like overall skyline picture, and it's just like this can't be real. Like there's no way. I mean, obviously it is happening, but like this giant freaking tower in the middle of Cedar Point.
Yeah.
Even though we already have oh my God, it's gonna look so weird but awesome, and I can't wait.
Because this is like, am I dreaming? Am I pinching? Like,
yeah,
is this real? Like honestly.
All right, I'm gonna kind of toot my own horn here for a sec, but it was like episode 3 of this podcast. I was like, guess what, guys? Wouldn't it be freaking hilarious if they took Dragster and they put a freaking spike on it? Right. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I think it could happen, but I wouldn't bet on it. But blah 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 blah. And here we are, like a year-ish later, and they're actually doing the spike. Like,
and it's gonna be
and it's massive,
20 feet high.
Like it's gonna look so weird and dumb in a good way. in the middle of the park. Like, just
Yeah.
think like going up the hill on Rougarou. This is gonna look like, or
Well, yeah. No,
getting off of Skyride West, or it's what?
Before, since I was at the media event on, it was like I had to be there super early in the morning for the announcement, which was
What time did you actually walk into the park?
I'd say probably 4:45, 5 a.m. or so.
Oh, God,
it was
I
still
sound asleep.
Yeah, it was still dark outside, but so we saw the giant, like we were able to be invited by the park by Tony Clark. We got to see the actual big, like really bottom part of the support, and that was lifted into place and everything
for the tower, right?
For the back tower. That's pretty much
for the spike, I should say.
Quote new construction of the coaster is going to be that, and then obviously the station and things like that. If anybody wants to see what we're talking about, go to cedarpoint.com and click on
and I think at some point we'll kind of talk through exactly what everything's doing, but
but you can see
we're just fangirling right now.
Yeah, you can see how big that support is and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's massive. It was so freaking massive, and just seeing everything up close, like we were able to go on and do like a hard hat tour and kind of see the station and see like what it's going to be.
Which, by the way, the station is getting a whole new paint job and getting some of it chopped off and the new wall added, and it's going to be cool. Should we talk through like the actual ride experience real quick, just so people?
Yeah, we can categorize that and we can go from there.
All right. So, do you want me to take that?
Go for it.
All right. So the ride's gonna keep the same station, but the actual loading area is going to be more like where you would line up for the front seat of the original dragster in the front train. Like it's more inland, I guess, if that makes sense. Yes. And the ride's going to pull out of the station. It's going to kind of shimmy over to the launch track. There's a little like S-curvy thing, and that's where you will launch first at 74 miles an hour, and you're going to make it, so far up the original tower, maybe halfway ish.
Yeah, I think I would just say I think I was kind of talking ish, with some of the people that were invited to that media, and they were saying probably maybe about halfway up that tower or so.
The rendering,
it just depends on the weight and the wind and everything else.
The rendering video shows it barely making it vertical, but I feel like they also are probably being a little conservative with that because they don't want to overpromise.
And then maybe that's why we didn't get an actual POV of it, right? Because they're just not super sure on, how it's gonna operate.
So while you're launching forward, that track that you shimmied over into the launch track on is going to slide over real quick so that a straight piece of track will line you up with the reversed spike. You're going to come back down the original tower. You're going to launch at 101 miles an hour. I don't know why 101.
Got to get that one in there.
I guess. And make it, 300, 350, probably 350. Every rendering I see, like the train is above Millennium. So we're going to be looking down on Millennium from the spike if you take a look to your left.
So you'll probably be around 320 to 350. These are just guesses, but 320, 350 in the front train, in the front car. Yeah. And then obviously in the back, you're probably be like maybe 380, 400.
Also remember that the train is going to be like 20, 25 feet long. So if you're in the back, you have a height difference. Mm-hmm. Also the front on the original tower. So then you're going to fall down the spike. You're going to launch to 120 miles an hour, just like the original dragster. You're going to make it up and over the top hat and go down the hill, and that you're going to hit the finish line just like the original dragster, and it's going to be awesome because you're on Top Thrill Dragster, but not really again.
Yep.
And the trains look freaking awesome. Oh, did we actually ever mention that this is being built by Zamperla? Like that's confirmed now. It is Zamperla.
I don't think we did.
It is not Intamin. Sorry, Intamin fanboys. It is Zamperla.
Yep. And I'm excited. I'm excited. When we had if anybody wants to listen to our past episodes, we had Zamperla on the episode, and he talked about how we want to dip our toe and we want to be more involved with coasters and stuff. Well,
he was dropping hints left and right.
Here you go.
Yeah, so Adam Sandy from Zamperla. He was a great guest, and he'll be on again before May. I have a feeling.
Yes.
We're going to be knocking on his door very soon here. But anyways, the trains look freaking sweet. There's going to be 3 trains. It looks like there's going to be an unload and load station, which is going to really help with capacity. I know that was a big concern.
Yes.
I can't see where this thing wouldn't have just kick-ass capacity.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you want to talk a little bit more about the trains, Evan, and just kind of give we'll just give it in depth and just go from there.
So, to the general Cedar Point Park goer, these trains are probably most similar to the train that you've probably ridden in that's most similar to this is like the Maverick trains, except it doesn't have it comes over the restraints come over your shoulder, except it doesn't have
shoulder harness.
shoulder vests that would be around your neck and chest
like
area.
Comes over your. It's like the Velocicoaster train.
Yes, it's Zamperla's take on the new Intamin trains. So for our more seasoned coaster enthusiasts listening, it's basically a spitting image of Velocicoaster, Pantheon, kind of Skyrush in a way, at least from a restraint standpoint.
Yes.
But then, so it's 5 cars of 2 rows, 2 riders each. So we're going to have 20 riders, which is 2 more than Dragster had per train. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, and they look really sleek. There's going to be, I think, on one of the posters at the park, it has a sign that says what colors they're going to be. It's like a metallic blue, metallic gray, and maybe white.
Metallic blue, metallic silver, and metallic black.
Ooh, the black's going to look really good.
I'm a big blue fan, so I can't, like, obviously in the renderings, you can kind of see like the blue train and stuff.
The light blue looks really awesome.
I'll tell you what, I'm happy as a clam as well to see that because I was kind of nervous. I was like, ooh, maybe people are like, well, why didn't they do like a twist? Like, why didn't they twist it? Number one, let's break it down. Number one, they probably, if they wanted to do a twist, it possibly need, again, with the
lot
height,
more bracing.
They're going to need more bracing and things like that. So you're probably going to have a bigger footprint. And I don't know if the park wanted that. It'd be a little expensive. Exactly. And then also maybe the park was like, we don't want to do twisted because we'll have to have over the shoulder restraints. And it's pretty much going to be just a lap bar.
And I think,
down, which is going to be great.
I think with the spike, the big awesome thing about it is you're going to be looking straight down and just kind of floating there.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be the coolest part of it.
Yeah.
So the spike or a twist on the spike, I mean, you had that feeling, say, on Wicked Twister going backwards, but nothing can compare to just a straight up spike like this. Right. So that's gonna be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the last thing about the ride experience that is worth touching on, we debated for so long about where the line is going to be. And I think everybody was like, well, the entrance isn't going to be the entrance anymore, and the queue line isn't going to be in the infield anymore. Well, guess what?
Right.
The entrance is where the old entrance was. You go through a like portal looking thing where like the old Topsville Dragster sign was that says that's like the CP Racing logo that we've seen in the park, right? Correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I'm remembering the renderings correctly. And then you enter through Topsville Dragster's old entrance and you go into a long queue line that is covered now. It has a nice giant roof over it.
That'll be really nice.
I'll be the first to admit,
sitting in the sun and it's hot and everything. So
yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
I'll be the first to admit that I was a firm believer that the queue line was not going.
I was 120% hit.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Like I remember every time we brought up on the show like what predictions we were, I would make sure I'd be like, well, the entrance isn't going to be there anymore. So
yeah, that was like my number one. Like, if anything, that's what's going to not happen is the entrance being where it was.
And I was just saying, and Zamperla was talking, a little bit about, the designing this ride, and obviously Cedar Fair and Cedar Point, picked Zamperla, or maybe, I don't know if there was talks between Intamin, but we know that, these lightning trains,
the lightning trains,
are, Evan, you want to go into detail about like what the trains are? That way they're,
so
I know they're they're fabricated by like one piece of.
Yeah, it's one piece of aluminum. Let me see if I could find up like a quick little write up.
I got it.
So you got it.
So there's so the high performance trains boast a state of the art chassis milled from a single piece of aluminum, crafted with fiberglass, and a carbon fiber body, which is going to be they're saying that it's going to have greater seat comfort and design, and it's also going to, and the trains will obviously give you like that open aired feeling experience, kind of like what you used to have on the ride previous.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. They sound like they're going to be like super sleek and light and going to be easy to launch too.
Yes. And I did hear rumor that I believe with the carbon fiber body and everything, they are going to be possibly working with the F1 technology that like uses the carbon fiber body on their bodies and stuff and everything. And so I can't wait. I cannot wait to see
That'll
these.
be like for like the aerodynamics and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And obviously it'll be like a lighter train. I'm assuming. I mean, we're what 23 years away from the original Top Thrill Dragster trains that were probably extremely heavy. I'm sure these are going to be a lot lighter. And everything. So
yeah, it'll be cool. And I also wanted to mention too that the exit is covered, and it goes like kind of under the spike and then into the old ride photo booth. And it looks like if you look at the renderings really closely, Speed Zone is going to get a nice facelift and be bigger, and the entrance is going to be more square with the midway, and hopefully it won't flood anymore.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully they level it with the rest of the park.
That was always below. I think we should I mean, it's not super sad news or anything. Is the grandstands. I know we're like jumping around and everything. We're just so excited. But the grandstands,
you guys haven't figured out by now, this is all we're talking about. So we got to figure out how to just keep going for like 35, 40 minutes.
Grandstands are going to be gone. I don't know if there's going to be a freestyle over there. Maybe, hopefully there is. If not, that's okay.
Or maybe it'll be in the new gift shop.
Maybe it'll be on the side.
Ooh.
Maybe it'll
really
be outside.
Fancy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't see why not. But the grandstands are gone. They're gonna have like, it looks like in the renderings, if you look at it, you can see there's almost like it's almost like a concrete grandstand, like permanent one. And let's hit it where let's be honest. Every time I went over to those grandstands,
there was like 4 people on the grandstand.
Right. It was always hot as balls. It was sun. There was no shade whatsoever. I mean, honestly, nobody was like, maybe you'd go up there for a few seconds to be like, oh, look, there's my daughter, or there's whatever. And you could see them fly by.
Now I'm dripping with sweat. I'm gone.
Right. And then, and then you would go down.
Or the ride's broken. I'm not going to sit up here.
I'm going to be honest. Cedar Point was my home park for my entire life up until a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I never went to those grandstands. I never once went to them.
They just looked clunky. And now I like in the rendering, there's now new tents, and the tents seem to be elevated. So they're going to be higher raised. So you'll be able to kind of like stand there for a few minutes, there looks like there's also going to be like seating ish, because they're going to have like a few rows. It looks like, to possibly
the tents
sit.
Remind me somewhat, looking at the renderings. And again, I mean, and also I should say that renderings almost rarely come out to be what exactly happens. It could be more, it could be less.
Mm-hmm.
But they remind me of the tents over by the Gatekeeper. The big Gatekeeper.
That was exactly what I got. The Gatekeeper vibes. So if you go over by Gatekeeper, go all the way to the very, very end of the beach area, and you'll see these random tents that no one really kind of stands underneath them
because they're in a weird spot.
There.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can go over there. I think it's probably for people that just want to like look at the beach and kind of just hang out and stuff. You can look at there and stuff and everything. Yeah. But yeah. So,
what was I going to say? I was going to mention with the existing grandstand. I think the only time I would ever go up there is if the ride was down for a long time and there's starting to be some movement. Everybody rushes in line.
Yep.
And so I'm standing in line and I'm like, they haven't launched in a little while. I'm gonna go try to look and see what's going on in the station. So I go walk up on top of the grandstand and I see, they're checking seats. Okay, they're gonna launch again. That was all it was for me.
I would go up on the grandstands and take some really cool pictures. And I would always go to the very top, and I would always get covered in freaking spider webs.
Yep. So
Because nobody would ever go up there.
That tells you that nobody's been up there in a while.
So yeah, so anybody that's complaining that the grandstands are gone can go up the river
Vote with your feet
and sink your boat, because you never went in those grandstands. Just like the people that came out and say, "Oh my gosh, what happened? No, I love Mean Streak." I mean, I liked Mean Streak, but like all these people that were like crying, like, "Oh no!" Like nobody ever freaking wrote it. So shut up.
And man, we're this has been a more PG-13 episode than normal.
So anyway, talking a little bit about like the station and everything on the renderings, you can see that the existing station is pretty much staying. They're cutting off a little bit of the roof, it looks like, for clearance
just so you don't hit your head when you come up the spike.
Right. So there's a little bit, they're gonna have to adapt that a little bit there. The yellow was turning to the blue, like a sky blue, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I was gonna say sky blue.
And then also I found in the renderings that the flags, I remember the station used to have the red flags. When Top of Drax was around. Now it looks like they're returning and they're going to be white and red. So
nice. Yeah, the station looks really sleek. Looks really sleek and futuristic almost.
Yes, I agree. And the only thing that I noticed, like on the rendering that's returning, Evan, you were also saying this too, and obviously the renderings aren't going to be possibly 100%, is they don't have the countdown lights on the tower.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no, we didn't see any like countdown light, like when you're stopped before you launch and stuff, like a launch tree. Obviously they could have it and we just can't see it, or they're still working on final details for that. But I did actually see that the finish line, because we did talk about this, because they put track underneath it.
The finish line looks different. But they're going to like redo the logo on it or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not the logo. The font's going to be different and they're going to paint it differently.
Modernize it a little bit. And
yeah, that's good. I think there's a lot more to this that hasn't been announced. At like I think
finer
amongst
details that they're.
I think amongst us, we like to call it the winter chill out announcements every year. The stupid finer detail things about what the park's getting the following year. And I think a lot of, and I'm not necessarily saying just winter chill out, but over the course of the rest of this year and probably more in like January, February, we're going to get a lot more like, hey, guess what? The Christmas tree's coming back. Hey, guess what? We're going to play Ready to Go in the station again and stuff like that. And I swear to God, if they don't.
Evan's going to chain himself to the old bleachers that'll be sitting out in the parking lot.
That's so good. Yeah. Along with the other 4 people that missed the bleachers.
Yeah.
But that's such a nostalgic part of that ride to me.
Yeah.
Like I still blast that song going down the causeway every single time. Like it's just so, every time I hear that song, I'm like, Cedar Point.
I think it'll be
it needs to be featured somehow.
Maybe it'll be like remixed, or maybe it'll just be
original. Needs original.
In the line.
I want the exact same audio file that was playing in the old dragster station.
Yeah, right. The
to a T.
Yeah.
But including the part where they stop it and say, "Attention riders, Top Tail Dragster is currently experiencing a delay in operation."
Hey, now, hopefully, since now it's going to be launched by LSMs, while
we're on the topic of rides breaking down, I'm going to tell y'all now, this ride is going to operate for like 2 hours on opening day. It is going to break down constantly. It's going to have a rough start, just like every coaster, just like Wild Mouse. If I see anybody complaining on May 2nd that they didn't get on it, I'm going to throw a fit.
Right, yeah.
They will figure it out. It'll all be okay, and it'll be, look at Wild Mouse, another Zamperla coaster. It frankly, it was awful reliability at the start of the year. And now it runs like a champ because it needs time to work its bugs out. So please, for the love of God, have some patience. You'll ride it. You'll be okay.
There's a lot of sensors and things that need to get dialed in. And I mean, it just takes time. It just
don't even complain if it doesn't open at all on opening day, because it might not. As with any new ride, just chill out. Y'all are all going to ride it. It'll be okay. Just go enjoy Millennium and Steel Vengeance and Magnum and Maverick like we have in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it'll all be all right, and then I don't know how we're going to know when it's open because it's probably going to be really quiet going down the midway when it gets launched now. Because I remember we would be walking like by Millennium or something, and we would be like bummed that it was closed, and then all of a sudden you hear the like, oh, we got to go to Dragster.
Well, if
we just heard it launch, we got to go before like the general public like sees it go over the tower. Literally. And then as soon as someone saw it go over the tower, that's I mean,
it was start, so there was a time I think I was leaving, or else I would have been part of this group, but I was kind of by Himalaya, Power Tower entrance, Speed Zone, and they started testing after Dragster had been probably closed the whole day. So I'm heading towards the front of the park against, away from Dragster, and it launches. And I swear to God, this was like 4:00 in the afternoon too. It wasn't like right at park opening or anything. It was like the old running of the bulls that you used to see with like Millennium.
Yeah.
When Millennium opened, it was just, and it wasn't even a busy day, like an extraordinarily busy day. It was just this massive horde of people. And I think it was even during 2020 with like a smaller crowd size. Like, I'm just standing there and I'm heading against the grain of traffic and I'm like, please don't run me over. Please don't run me over. Please don't run me over.
Yeah.
Like the draw that ride had. And while we won't hear the launch so much, I mean, if you can't see a train heading up either one of the 420-foot towers,
I can't wait
you
to
have some serious problems.
I can't wait to hear
the train's going to have some roar just because it's going to be fast and it's going to be tall and it'll be cool. I'm so excited. This is so awesome.
Right? It's good stuff. We didn't talk about it's gonna have a switch track or whatever. Like you talked a little bit about. So you'll roll into the station, you'll unload, and then the train I would assume would roll forward, then you'll load, and then there's gonna be probably another block, I would assume, that pushes the train out and kind of sits there. And then as soon as it's done with its ride sequence, then there's gonna be a quick track where it'll switch back over and you'll be able to pretty much
kind of like just think the transfer track on Millennium Force currently, but you'll actually be riding on both sides of that.
Right. Yeah. It'll be really fast to where you're not gonna
So I'm gonna be honest, every single time I ride up that tower on the first launch, I'm gonna be rolling back, then we'll come down backwards and we'll be launching again, and I'll be like, please tell me that track switch, please tell me that track switch, please tell me that track switch.
No, there'll be,
obviously I trust it, but it's just like that's always gonna be in the back of my head.
It's always in the back of my head. Like Kyle, I don't know if you can attest, like if you ride Hagrid's or anything like that, because Hagrid's at Islands of Adventure has that track switch, and it's got to be like super fast. Like
there's not a lot of space.
Do you always like in the back of your head, you're like, where's that track switched?
Hagrid's is even a high speed switch track, and it's not unsafe. That's a block zone. There's methods to stop the train should that piece not switch. But I always kind of find myself, I'll be riding it and we'll go up the spike and we'll start going back, and I'll like kind of peek my head around my shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope it switched.
Yeah, you're like, well, if we didn't switch,
then have a really hard turn right here.
Yeah, right.
Lined up right. Or I mean, even like the one time I got a rollback on Dragster, I was super excited. But then as we were rolling back down the hill, I'm like, man, I hope those brakes went back up.
Yeah.
Obviously they did, and everything was fine, and then it never didn't happen. But it's just the stupid things that even as huge
that's what us coaster enthusiasts and nerds think about, is like, I wonder if
but I think that's even a testament that even sometimes we could be like the general public and just be like completely irrational with our thinking.
But yeah, like Kyle said, there's a lot of fail safes that if something were to happen, like
what I just said will never actually happen. Everything will be okay.
Yeah. No,
that's why I ride tests a million times before it opens.
And then remember, so we were talking about like the descriptions of what we were seeing on Power Tower of like, what's that giant? Because you saw the footers and whatever from Power Tower, and you're like, I don't know what they're building. Are they building like a little spike? And I was like, I don't think they're building a spike or I'm sorry, not a spike, a hump or anything over by pretty much where you pass by. And I'm like,
you mean by the old entrance?
By the entrance,
or actually by the ride entrance. We could just
because we saw them digging up, and I'm like, maybe they're doing a turn ? And then we're like, I don't know. We were just flabbergasted, and looks like from the renderings, it's just a a box, like a building, and I'm sure that's probably where like all of the
electrical
technology
building or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks in the rendering, and I'm sure they didn't put much effort into this in the rendering. It just looks like it's probably the electrical room, and it looks like a shipping container.
Yeah. To be fair,
So,
yeah. So it's like
it is what it is. That's where that's going to sit. So if you
So
ride Power
that's-
Tower and see a weird bit of cement that doesn't look like it has anything to do with the ride, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Kind of
Because
sad.
I was like, but
Yeah. And you can really see clearly where the switch track is going to go, because there's kind of like almost a triangle, this is going to sound so incredibly stupid, but if you see it, you'll understand what I mean. A 4-sided triangle, like cement pad where the switch track is going to go.
Yep. Yeah. It's right over there, right after the station, almost like.
Yep.
I do want to say, I'm looking at the renderings right now, and this is me being a dork. It looks like they're possibly getting rid of the circly, like the tree that used to sit there, and the mulch path and the mulch circly thing or whatever. I don't
looks
see
very
it in the
open.
renderings. So
Looks very open, the whole area, which is good. Needs to be.
no, I'm gonna miss that tree. That tree was nice, but you know what? That area could.
I didn't see you hugging that tree and climbing that tree every single time you were at the park. So
That is.
come on, you were a fake fan.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah. So I'm.
Let's see, what else did we not mention? There's going to be a wall in between, like in the station, in between where you're loading and where the train comes flying through, which I'm kind of sad about. I hope they put like windows in it, so at least while you're loading, you see this thing just scream past you.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. It's going to be, let's just say, it's actually, so the old Topville Dragster station, like you had that giant cement pad. Well, pretty much cut that in like 1/4, I guess you could say, ish. And that looks like where you're going to be, they're probably only going to be able to load like one group. It's going to be very, very, very small.
That's okay. Because that's going to force them to always have a grouper in the station.
Because the reason is because one, it's got to make the turn to for the train exiting, and then at the very end of the actual pad that you would have seen, that if you were to have exited or whatever, or where the ride op was like checking you, that's pretty much where the outside of that big concrete pad used to be. It's not there anymore. That's going to be where the track's going to be running through, and you'll be racing right through. So
yeah, there's, I don't know, it's so much the same but different.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm just going over the things in my head in the concept art that we've noticed, and it's going to have fast lane. I noticed that in the concept art there is a specific fast lane line. Nobody from the park has said that, but I'm looking at the concept art. I don't see why they would put a specific like fast lane looking lane on the side of the main line. I would assume, that's good.
I would assume that there's gonna be a fast lane. It looks, and you said it looks like you exit in through a tunnel or something, and go through,
which
and
I'm
then
sure
you go right
like
into
super themed up. Like, congrats, you won the race, bah.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll lead to its own little gift shop there, and then, like I said briefly, it looks like Speed Zone is getting a huge facelift, and honestly, probably just straight up torn down and rebuilt.
It looks like it
into a nice big building. Kind of, it looks like if you took the new Peanuts shop up front, it's like that size.
Yes, that's a good.
Did that for Dragster, so that's going to have a lot of awesome merchandise in it. There's already merchandise in Speed Zone for Top Thrill 2. There's a light blue, a gray, and a white t-shirt and sweatshirt.
Yep. And you could, there's actually, I was talking with Andrew, from their
merchandising
department, and he said that they're right now, and I did look, and it is on their website. There's an actual specific Top Thrill 2 tee that's only going to be, he said it's only going to be online available. It's different from the ones in the park.
Looking it up right now. I want to see it.
It says it's got the Top Thrill 2 on it, and then it says nowhere to go but back 2024. That's going to be on
that one of the things that was on the
that's going to be on the back, and then on the front there's going to be like a little corner pocket that says it has the logo on it and everything on the front. You said what about the
isn't the nowhere to go but back one of the things that was?
Yes, that was on the wall. And then they also have the hoodie. They also have the hoodie online and everything as well. So if anybody wants any merchandise,
I like that one so much more because the front is more low key.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like a big graphic on the front. I like kind of like corner pocket-ish or so. So, but yeah, so
that's gonna get bought. That is definitely going to get bought.
we're gonna buy that. And then
Might buy
I
it
was
now.
gonna say really quick, kind of like to give you an idea, and I shared this with Evan and on a bunch of other people. So when you launch, you're obviously, you're going 74 miles per hour. I could be getting that super wrong. I don't have the
74 was 74, is it?
Okay. So, and then you obviously are going back 101 miles per hour backwards. Just to give you,
going to be insane.
Just to give you that, I'll give you this in a second. Just to give you that, think about this. Just don't close your eyes if you're driving, but close your eyes. Imagine this. Just
saved a ton of car crashes.
Right.
Because so many people would have done it.
Right. So just think about this. So you get launched, and then you're going backwards 101 miles per hour. Okay. Think of Millennium Force, or think of Fury 325 or whatever. Okay. Think of that. Think how fast you're going in the front seat. And I know on Millennium Force, you can feel like your cheeks going backwards and stuff and everything, and you're only going 93 miles an hour. Okay. Now, how fast that is, or you know what? Even don't close your eyes. Go ride Millennium Force and see what that feeling is and how fast of a rush that is going down that hill. Think about that. Going
I'll do it backwards.
Backwards.
That's so insane.
Backwards. Up a hill. Up a straight uphill. You're gonna get so much floaties and so much airtime. It's gonna be insane.
That spike and that reverse launch is going to be one of the best moments on any roller coaster ever. Just because it's, in true Cedar Point fashion, I guess. Like, that's so, like, nobody else but Cedar Point. Nobody else but Cedar Point would do something like this.
Yeah.
Yes, there's other spikes out there, but they're like 180 feet tall, and the reverse launch is like 60 miles an hour. Pantheon is what I'm referring to. I don't think I have the stats right, but Pantheon at Busch Gardens is one of my favorite coasters in the world because of its reverse launch, and it's like half the speed and not even half the height.
Yep.
So, oh my goodness, it's going to be.
And
nuts.
just to wrap your head around it, it's going to be the world's tallest and fastest triple launch strata coaster.
It's also going to be the world's only triple launch strata coaster.
Right, and they're crushing that record by a ton. So, it'll be interesting to see how everything, how it unfolds and everything. And definitely wish Zamperla and Cedar Point, the best of luck to all of this and everything. And I'm sure that it'll be a hit. And then I'm curious to see if later down the road, Zamperla goes knocking, or maybe Six Flags, for instance, goes knocking on Zamperla's door and is like, "Hey, can we put that new technology on King Ka?"
And I hope because there was always rumors like back in the day that B&M would do things with parks like, oh, we can't sell an inverted coaster to parks within 200 miles of you for the next 10 years or whatever.
Right.
I'm hoping something like this is going on where Cedar Point was like, hey, you can't sell this to Six Flags. Like, give us.
They were like,
the only
stipulation was the only this is total.
This
joke.
is the only one you'll ever make.
This is a total joke. But the only stipulation was they were like, okay, we're gonna build Top Thrill 2, but you have to buy the Wild Mouse from us.
and if not that, it was the other way around. It was Zamperla like, please let us build Top Thrill 2. We'll give you a Wild Mouse.
You get a buy one get one kind of deal.
Yeah.
So
I always said that about Wicked Twister and Dragster. Because Wicked Twister opened the year before, and I'm like, I'm sure it was Intamin, just like, hey, please take this piece of crap for us, and we'll give you Dragster.
We have these extra track pieces that didn't fit,
and we accidentally painted them really yellow.
Yeah. And by the way, you're gonna get Wicked Twister before you get
and we're gonna promise that it is gonna work better than Dragster, and that's the reason that we're giving it to you. But joke's on you guys; they're both never gonna work.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be, once all the bugs and everything, and once it's humming along, as you like to say, Evan, I think this is literally going to be really good on capacity. I think there's going to be a lot more uptime. I would assume, when everything's all said and done and everything, like it's cool. That's cool. I'm super excited about it.
And I'm totally stealing this from somebody I saw on Twitter, and I'm sorry if you're that person because I don't remember what your Twitter handle was, but they mentioned that all the people that are kind of like preying on Zamparilla's downfall here. Like it's all the people that are like, oh, I thought it was intimate. Well, I hope Zamparilla's going to fail. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up, because it is so good for the coaster community if Zamparilla is successful here, because it's going to make Intamin want to be that much better. It's going to make all the companies want to be that much better because, oh crap, there's a new competitor in the game now.
Yep.
And they knocked it out of the park at Cedar Point. And so if Zamparilla is successful here, it's so many big coasters, not even necessarily made by Zamparilla, but so many big, amazing, mind-blowing coasters are going to be built because of it. Yeah. And that's really cool to think about. It's almost like the coaster wars are starting all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and like we talked about, if it was going to be Zamparilla or Intamin or whatever, like, you know what? It's Zamparilla, and they're taking a step in the pool, and they're, going for
only
broke,
good things are going to come out of Zamparilla being successful here. And that's really fun to think about where things can go.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm super excited. And anyone that was mad that Top Thrill Dragster was only 17 minutes, well, this one is 2 minutes now.
It's not 17 minutes.
Sorry,
I promise you.
17 seconds. Yes, 17 seconds. Well, now this is 2 minutes. So
yes, because going up and down that launch track 3 times and up and down that spike is going to take a minute.
And we got a new credit for next year.
Yes. Oh God, if anybody says this isn't a credit, I'm going to flip my lid.
Right.
And I've seen that. I've seen people like, is it a new credit? Yes. It's been closed for 2 years, and there's a whole new piece.
Do you guys have anything else to add to this Top Thrill 2 news or anything? I was going to mention.
Just excited.
I don't think so.
I was just going to mention really quick. 2024 Cedar Point and Cedar Fair season passes are on sale right now. The park released them with the announcement of Top Thrill 2, and you'll be able to get the $99 gold pass until it looks like September 4th, which is through Labor Day, to get that price and everything, and then everything goes up from there. But everything's there.
Don't take my word for it, but they always extend that sale.
Yeah. They didn't last year though. Remember, you were like, gold is. You're like, because you were like, oh yeah, they extended it. Nope, it was only on sale. I thought for like a weekend or something for $99, and then it went up.
I always laugh because like the one that comes to mind right now is the Christmas in July sale. They were like, oh, I kept getting like texts and emails. 5 more days, 4 more days, 3 more days till Christmas in July is gone. And then on
where the Santa had the same pose with like every different coaster in the background.
Yeah. And then, today's the last day. And then like 2 hours later, I get an email. Offer extended. 3 more days of Christmas in July. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm obviously, you hear our enthusiasm. We're super, super pumped.
I want to hear, let's take a bet now. And the winner gets, I don't know, a pat on the back. What will be on opening day, how long will the line be for Top Thrill 2 at its longest?
Ooh. Kyle, you want to go?
Yeah. 4 hours.
4 hours max?
Wait, what?
The 4 hours?
Rephrase it. Repeat the question.
How long at its height on opening day? How long will the line be for Top Thrill 2?
Yeah, I'm going 4 hours.
I was going to say 5.
I'm going to meet you guys in the middle and say 4.5.
Or I'm going to be the real jerk here. It's not going to be open for long enough at a time for it to reach more than like 2 hours.
That doesn't matter. People still line up on the midway.
Yeah, everybody will be in line for it for 8 hours all day.
Yeah.
And then question number 2 for you. Where do you think this will fall in your like rankings of the park?
Ooh.
Like Steel Vengeance is my number 1 of the park. I don't think it's going to be better than Vengeance. I think it's going to be a great ride and all that. But like, is it going to be top 5? It's going to be top 3? Is it going to be?
It could be.
Mid? Is it going to be like top 10?
It could be the top coaster at the park. I don't see why not. I'm gonna leave that open. I mean, obviously, I love Steel Vengeance and everything, but I'm super excited about going up on that tower and literally just feeling that weightlessness because I love any time you get to go straight up on a tower like that. It's just
going to feel so good to be on it again.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, do you think it's going to be your number 1, or where do you think?
I think it's going to be top 5. It would have
Top
to
5.
it would have to break a few to get my favorite in the park. My favorite's Maverick. And
Okay,
then
I was gonna say I don't even really know
Yeah.
what your favorite is, Maverick.
Maverick is my favorite at that park, followed by Steel Vengeance, and then Magnum and Millennium. So Dragster could dethrone a couple of those and sit pretty in the top 5.
Where did original Dragster sit for you guys before it closed?
3.
Yeah, probably 3 or 4.
Okay.
I just
I love
Curious.
launch.
It'll be interesting to see like how much this changes our opinion of that ride in general. It'll be just fun to think about.
I will say one of the last times I ever experienced the attraction, it was in early season 2021 on employee ride night. It was one of the days where the park closed at like 6 during the week, and they kept Dragster open on an employee ride night for like 2 or 3 hours.
Jeez.
And there was no downtime, and it was a station wait.
That's so fun.
That experience solidified it as like, this is a damn good ride.
That launch, there's nothing that'll compare to that launch.
Yeah,
That launch was intense.
There's nothing that'll ever compare to that launch, but it was just the fact of no line and prolonged uptime.
Yeah.
You know, I was one that would always be cautiously optimistic about getting in line with it or for it with my friends, just because I'm like, guys, it's an hour, it's gonna go down 3 times, we're gonna be in this line for
Right.
3 hours. I think we should just come back, you know, and then
Yeah.
maybe we make it back, maybe we didn't. So honestly, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to that I think will make me appreciate it more than the previous version is just after the kinks are worked out, how reliable it's going to be, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so much more stress free to get on it.
And
And you're not
I agree.
the park isn't going to have to worry about replacing launch cables
Yes.
and all this other stuff, like making sure every single brake goes down so
Yes.
clears the
And
thing and it's not just be clunky.
I
It's gonna be
know-
more modernized.
I know the enthusiasts are going to appreciate that, and I also know the public as well is going to appreciate that. I mean, I don't know how many times I was at that park and people would say, "Oh, Dragster's down. Dragster, we don't want to get in line. It's going to break." And kind of like you said, taking the stress out of it, just being able to go to that park and for the most part pretty confidently be able to say, "Well, the line's an hour and a half, but at least we know it's not going to break down." Like that is going to improve the experience so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's gonna bring, not that the park has been weird or anything the last couple of years, but it's gonna bring so much life back to the park in general. Just having this awesome ride, mostly back and better than ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, it brings
I'm
back
just so excited.
all that kinetic energy, right in that corner of the park. And it's also a thing for, ever since mid-season 2021, it's the ride that shall not be named. You don't want to look at it or mention it
Right.
because something bad happened, and that's
Yeah.
not cool.
Yeah.
So just to be able to not have to walk on eggshells around the topic anymore also is going to be really cool.
Yeah. I agree.
100% agreed.
So happy. I cannot wait.
I'm
really
just so
cannot
happy
wait.
the cat's out of the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we finally can talk about it. Like we can talk about what we finally know. Like it's not just speculation. We're like, oh, I wonder what that holds for that, or I want,
Really quick before we finish this up, and I know we're Cedar Fair, but can we talk about what Holiday World announced just really quick? Mainly the name. Good Gravy is the name of their roller coaster. That is the funniest and dumbest, but also awesomest name of a roller coaster I've ever heard in my life.
That was one of the best coaster announcements I have ever watched.
I was laughing literally hysterically when I'm watching the video. They're, coming in 2024, Good Gravy. And then it just cuts to Grandpa snoring in his chair. I lost it. It was so funny. I'm not saying we're going to go running down there to ride it. It'll be a fun ride of whatever, but that was
hey, that's our
awesome.
second steel coaster.
Woo.
I mean,
Third.
they're growing.
You're forgetting Holodog
or whatever the hell
Express.
it's called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair. Nerd. Yes.
We
But,
count our kitty credits here.
yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to mention I couldn't let this go without a Good Gravy mention because that's
Good
just
Gravy.
hilarious to me.
And
Gee
you're gonna be
willikers.
literally, the coaster trains are gravy boats. So
Yeah.
that's,
And you go through a tunnel on the ride. It's
can. You
cranberry
go through
sauce.
a giant can of cranberries. Or
It
something.
was so funny too, because like Top Thrill 2 was announced at 5 a.m. or whatever,
Yeah.
and Holiday World just kind of quietly at like 9 in the morning was like, "Hey, gee willikers."
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, honestly, there's 2 coasters with the rollback. You can roll back at 37 miles per hour with the good gravy.
with our spike that's 77 feet or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah.
but
on the
on
park,
this one,
though.
you're gonna shout "good gravy."
Good on the park though.
Yeah, I'm
because
super
they
excited for
were
Holiday World.
using they were using that area of the park for that Pilgrim's Plunge, which was like a water ride, which is like almost like Shoot the Rapids ish or so, but it was like a taller version and everything. And then they got rid of it just because
And
we
the
saw how
station's been sitting there for like 10 years.
we saw how good Shoot the Rapids and it lasted and how long Shoot the Rapids lasted, and then they literally just reused the station and that whole entire area is
awesome.
going to be used and stuff.
So good for Holiday World. Shout out to them. Love that
Yeah.
park. Voyage is amazing. And Top Thrill 2.
Yep, Top Thrill 2. Super excited about it.
I will say I'm a little concerned about the future of this show just because we have not known this show. Like, this has been the one thing we've talked about every week.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We still will to some extent, but now it's going to be the construction progress.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to really ramp up, and then all our opening reactions and all that. So what I'm really concerned for the show is like June of 2024, when this ride's been open and running for a month, and it's just like, well,
we'll talk about Corkscrew possibly going away.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh well.
No,
I think that about does it.
I was gonna say it's awesome. It's cool. I cannot wait to see it, and I'm super pumped about what's to come with it. And just the super construction update is the tower has started. There's 3. The columns are all standing, and all they got to do is go up from there. So.
Yep, 420 feet. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap things up this week. We'll be back next week with all of the news, as well as talking about Carson's recent California trip. That's all I got. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and I'm really super excited to hear about your trip, Carson. We were texting back and forth, but it'll be fun to hear about it in more detail, especially our Cedar Fair parks and complaining about Six Flags.
And let's just say I'm super exhausted, but hey, make sure you follow and share our podcast with everyone that you know, and help us grow our followers.
All right, that's going to do it this week. Good night, everyone. Take it away, Justin.
Thank you for listening to the Rundown on Fun. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Cedar Fair. As always, be kind to your ride operators, and we will see you on the Midway. Good night.